Hello and welcome back to Mindful Sojourn. I am Janie and I am glad you're here with me today. If this is your first time joining me, welcome to my channel. I hope you like what you find and I hope you'll stick around for more. And if you're a returning viewer or a subscriber, thank you for your continued support. I really do appreciate it. I know I say that every time, but I do mean what I say and I really appreciate your continued support and coming back to watch my crazy videos. So today I am going to make another TP roll mini journal. Well, let me show you the previous one I did first. So I have this celestial junk journal that I have been working on, and I made a mini, well, two little mini journals to go along with it. And these are pocket size. And what I mean by pocket size is they can literally fit in your pocket, you know, your pants or skirt pocket, but they also fit nicely in the pocket of a junk journal. So I'm making another one because I am working on a fall themed junk journal and I want to have another mini journal to go along with it. So I decided to use, instead of, like with this one, this is the same fabric that is on the cover of the Celestial journal, but in this case I decided to use a different fabric just to have some contrast, because I'm going to not just make this a mini journal to go with it, it's going to be a charm. So on this journal, I put an eyelet in the spine. I was going to put eyelets all along for the binding, but I had the wrong tool and it was a fun process. I actually poked a hole in my cheap craft mat from the dollar store. But luckily the first one I did was right in the center. So all of the binding on this will be traditional, like, binding. I'll use my awl to poke the holes. They won't have the eyelets for each hole for the strings. So because there's only one, what I decided to do for this signature in the very center, I will sew this signature in such a way that the string or binding that I use will end on the outside rather than being on the inside of the signature. Let me show you what I mean by that so you can follow along. So when you tie in your signatures, you see you have all these. For this one I used embroidery floss. So depending on how you sew your signatures, if you start on the inside, then you will also end on the inside, and that's why you see this bow here. But if you start your sewing from the outside, you'll also end on the outside. So instead of having that bow, where did you go? Instead of having your bow or knot on the inside, it'll be on the outside. So I hope that makes sense. So for this one signature, I'll have twine coming out and I'll probably, you know, tie a bow, but then I will put some book charms on it, including a mini journal to go with it. So I hope that makes sense. Hopefully it'll, if it doesn't, hopefully it'll make more sense once you see the final product. But let's get started. So I have my TP roll. And if, in case you were wondering how to get the rest of this off without just sitting here forever, I use a sanding block to get the rest of this off. I didn't show this in the last TP roll mini journal video that I did. So I hope this video is a little bit more helpful, because when I made this one, this was my first time making a mini journal from a TP roll. So it was my first time making a journal of this kind. And I hadn't watched a video doing it in this way. I had seen other videos making mini junk journals, but not from a teepee roll. So, excuse me, got all the dust from my sanding block. So, I hope this video is a little bit more concise and organized than that one was, because now I've done it and I know how I want to do it, and I know my process. So, but in case you're curious how I made the mini celestial one, I can link that in the description below. So I'm just kind of trying to uncurl this. I just cut it straight down the middle, and now I'm just trying to flatten it out a little bit. And then I think I'm going to make two, because I want one of them for the fall journal, and I'll save the other one for something else. So I'm just going to cut this in half and even up these edges a bit. Let me see. Is that even straight? Okay, I'm gonna just take this down a little, clean up these edges. So I hope you guys are all having a great week so far. I am excited about this week because the Padres are hosting the Dodgers, and tonight will be game 3 of the NLDS. If you're not a baseball fan, you don't know what that is, we're in the playoffs. We made it to the playoffs, and I'm excited. Let's see which way. I think I want to cut it in half this way. So it's 5, so 2.5. I hope I did this right. Let me see. Yes, that is perfect. So I'll have 2 journals from this, but in this video, I'm just going to make one. Just gonna focus on one so I don't get too sidetracked. So I just cut this down. The measurements for this now are approximately 4 1/4 long ways, like the width, and then the height of the book is 2.5. But the measurements don't really matter, because you can cut this multiple ways and end up with different sizes for journals, because, for example, in this one, these both came from the same teepee roll, but the way I cut it, I had one large one and one smaller one. So the measurements really are irrelevant. You don't have to follow like a precise, like, oh, okay, so Janie did it this way and it's these measurements exactly. Like, it doesn't really matter. Just whatever size that you need for your project, go with that. So now I am going to score this to get this perfect fold for the spine. So I need to find the middle. So then I'm going to score this on either side of the middle so that my spine is approximately a 1/4 inch. Going extra hard on this scoring because it is cardboard. If I had done that on paper, it would have torn right through. I always forget. You score it on one side and then I think you fold it this way. I'm not the only one. I was watching a video one time, I think it was Nick the Booksmith, who is she's basically a professional bookmaker. Her creations are amazing. She doesn't just do like junk journals. She does all kinds of bookmaking projects, and I think she even does like binding repairs and fixing up antique books, like rebinding them and stuff. But anyways, I was watching one of her videos one time and she was scoring something and she was like, I just found out that I've been scoring the wrong way. Like, you know, because you would think if you score on this side, then you fold it this way. I don't know. It probably doesn't really matter all that much. Now, so here's our book shape. I am now going to cover it in this fabric, just like, you know, the same way that we do with a full-size journal when you're using a cereal box. Let me see, is this going the right way? Yes. It's the same concept. I, you know, cut down my cardboard, but instead of using a cereal box, I'm using a TP roll, and I'm just using some Tombow Mono Aqua glue to glue this to the fabric. I could use my fabric fuse, but that bottle has been a pain recently and takes forever to get the glue out. I probably need to clean the spout or whatever it's called where the glue comes out, and also I just don't like the smell. It's probably not good for you anyways, so yeah. Anyways, I'm excited about this week because of the Padres, and I hope you guys have something that you are equally excited about this week that you're looking forward to, whether it be a sporting event or a family event or something fall related, if you're checking out a pumpkin patch or a haunted house. It's been a long time since I went to a haunted house. I never really liked it. I like everything about the season. I don't know. I just don't like being scared. I don't like that feeling. I know it's kind of like it is an adrenaline rush, and it's fun, and I like the decorations. I like a lot of things about the experience of going to a haunted house. I just don't like that feeling. It's like anxiety when something jumps out at you and scares you. I don't know. I guess it would be fun if I was a teenager, you know, and you're on a date and you get scared and you grab your date's arm, but I'm not there. I love my husband, and I do feel a lot of times like we've been together 8 years, and I still most days feel like we're still in the honeymoon phase, but I don't need to go to a haunted house just to flirt and hold his hand. Yeah, I just don't do well with that kind of stuff. A couple years ago, he really wanted to watch, what was it, like Jason or something, but like the new one. I think it was Jason. I get all of those mixed up because I'm not a fan, and so I haven't seen them enough to like keep them all straight. It was the one where it's the remake, and the kids are going camping at Crystal Lake. So whichever one is known for taking place at Crystal Lake, that's the one. Anyways, and so it's the campers, and you know, it's a slasher, everybody dies. And I really didn't want to watch it, but he did, because I'm really only into the cheesy kid-friendly Halloween movies, you know, like Hocus Pocus and Halloween Town. And actually, I'm just gonna cut off this extra. I should have done that first. I love all of those, you know, and Practical Magic and but we had watched enough cheesy, kid-friendly Halloween movies for him. He wanted to watch a scary movie. So I reluctantly agreed, and the next morning, because he always kisses me in the morning, because he usually leaves for work before I get up, although now with a baby, a lot of days I'm up before him. But back then, he would get up before me to go to work, and he'd, you know, kiss me as I was still laying in bed. So this next morning, after watching this slasher movie, he comes in to kiss me, but of course he didn't turn the bedroom light on, and the light from the hall was behind him. So when he woke me up, all I saw was a silhouette leaning over me, a silhouette of a man leaning over me, and that's how I woke up. And I started screaming because I was just so jumpy and on edge from watching that movie the night before. And it felt like it lasted forever. I sat up in bed and I was like flailing my arms, you know, as a protection. And I do remember him saying over and over, like, babe, it's me, it's just me. But I was just so, you know, half asleep and just, I don't know. I just screamed like, for, I don't know, 20 seconds at least. It felt like forever though. And so then for the rest of the day, I was just on edge, like for the rest of the day. It was bad. And so yeah, I can't do those movies anymore. I just don't even go there. So that's my experience with scary movies. I just need to find a paper to put down in the middle of this. I think I have enough here if I tear this. So yeah, I call me a baby, make fun of me, whatever, but I just can't. I can't do it anymore. It's not worth it to me. The anxiety and the heart pounding, and I just, yeah, I don't enjoy it. I know I've asked in recent videos, but no one, I feel like sometimes it's kind of pointless for me to talk so much and be engaging, because I'll be like, tell me your favorite Halloween movie, or what's your favorite fall tradition. And then I do appreciate any comments that I get, but it's usually just, you know, love the video or new subscriber, which that's fine too. I love the support. I appreciate the engagement, but no one ever answers these questions. I genuinely want to know, like, what are your favorite Halloween movies and fall traditions? And are you watching this video because you actually want to make a junk journal, a mini junk journal out of a toilet paper roll? Or are you just watching it for the just for entertainment? You know, I am that way with like cooking shows. I've always loved cooking shows. I think I mentioned this before. I mentioned recently that you know, craft videos for some people are kind of like cooking videos. How, you know, we watch these cooking shows, but we don't always make what we see. I realized it's not long enough to cover this, but what I could do, I do have some washi tape. So we're just gonna go with it and use up our scraps. But yeah, like I love watching certain cooking shows like the Cupcake Wars and the Holiday Cookie Challenge, and you know, all those shows where like they make the giant displays out of sugar and cake, and it's like a giant cake in the shape of Santa Claus or whatever. I love watching all those shows, but I'm not gonna make a 6-foot tall Santa Claus out of cake. I think I said that in one of my videos recently when I was talking about this. So I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I know some people watch these videos and they don't even have the audio on. Like, you just kind of have it on and you're listening to music, and it's just on like in the background. My mom actually told me recently, I think she was the one that told me, like, yeah, I was watching your video while I was doing this. So she wasn't really watching it, she was listening to it. So that was like the opposite. But that's just because she's my mom. Like, who else besides a mom would just watch a craft video and not actually watch it, but just have it on in the background to listen to it and also to just give me the view? Because YouTube doesn't know that she wasn't actually paying 100% attention to it. It was just on. But that's a mom. I love you, Mom. I do appreciate the support. I'm not complaining. I just thought it was funny because she was like, oh yeah, I watched your video and I was like booking my flight and doing this, and I was like, so you listened to the video. It was funny. So I think I need a little bit more glue. This piece is coming up. I don't know which one I want to use. I think I want to use this one with mushrooms, and it's mostly different types of mushrooms, because the pattern on the fabric for the main journal also has mushrooms on it. So I'm just going to bring this down. I don't mind that the paper here tore. It kind of just matches the messy style. Okay, now for the binding and the eyelet. I have a new tool for eyelet setting. I've never used it before, so I'm actually just going to do that off camera just so I don't look like an idiot trying to figure it out, because I've never used it before. So I am going to set an eyelet and poke my holes for the single signature, and then I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I set the eyelet, and then I did have to reshape kind of this spine here because you can see my original fold mark just very slightly. Because it was thin, I knew when I was scoring this I should have made it a little bit wider, and so the spine kind of moved to accommodate for the size of the eyelet. So I had to reform it. Luckily the cardboard is still kind of wet from all the glue from gluing on the fabric, but basically as it dries I'm just gonna keep doing this to get it to maintain that spine, that new spine. I even occasionally, when I'm in here messing around with stuff, I'll do that with this one just to make sure, you know, it's still keeping that shape. So it's flexible, and that's all you want to do. So I just used my ruler and my my scoring tool to make a new fold. So now, also while I was off camera, I went ahead and got my scraps I should have done the inking while I was at it. These are great for different purposes. And you might think like, oh, well, it's a mini journal. It's not like you can write about your whole day in it. You're not going to write a book. It's not going to be your manuscript, but they're fun just to use as a little, like, you can use it as a little reminder booklet, a little to-do list. You can, if you keep it on you, like if you make it like a keychain and attach it to your bag or your purse or your keys, if it's with you all the time, like you can just write, you know, phone numbers or whatever. You know, back before we had smartphones, I used to keep a miniature notebook. I know I have one lying around here somewhere still, but it was basically just a little miniature notepad, you know, spiral bound, but you know, it was only like this big. And I used to keep that in my bag for the purpose of, actually I should have made this a little shorter so it doesn't block the eyelet. That way I can put a ring through there. So I need to shorten this a bit. I'm glad I remembered that before I started sewing these in. But yeah, I used to keep a little notebook like that with me for the purpose of writing down songs that I would hear. So not only is this pre-smartphone, this is pre-Shazam. I Shazam all the time, and I've actually made playlists out of the songs that I've Shazammed. Now, in case you're not familiar with Shazam, it's an app on, you can download it to your smartphone, and let's say you're in the grocery store or in a waiting room or an elevator, and you hear a song that you like, but you don't know what it is, and you want to know what it is, and you know you won't remember the lyrics later to go look it up. You can open the Shazam app and Shazam the song, and it'll tell you, you hit the button, and it basically listens to the song, and then it tells you like, oh, this is Don't Stop Believing by Journey. But before we had smartphones and Shazam, that's why I would keep a notebook, a miniature notebook in my purse or backpack or whatever, so that if I was out at a store and I heard a song, I could jot down some of the lyrics, you know, listen for the chorus and write down what I think the title is and who it sounds like. And then when I got to a computer later, I could look it up. So that's the kind of thing that you could use this for, or keep it in your bag for, like, if you meet someone when you're out, and I don't know why you wouldn't write their phone number, just, you know, put it in your phone like we all do now. But I mean, if you just want to be old fashioned and, oh, let me take down your number the old fashioned way, you know, you can use this. So yeah, this is a very, call to slow down. That sentence didn't make sense because I didn't know what I was trying to say. Okay, start over. This project is very much so a reminder to, like, slow down and not do everything on your screens, on your phones or other devices. You know, yes, we have apps and calendars and reminder apps and things in our phones that we can use, but I don't know, I'm old-fashioned. I've always been old-fashioned. Even when I was a kid, people were always telling me like, oh, you're such an old soul and you're very mature for your age. And I've always liked old TV shows, and I've always been fascinated by antique technology, like old cameras and typewriters and old telephones. And this is just, you know, this gives you a way to just slow down, and instead of looking at your screen for everything, you know, just make a note in your little notebook, you know? I'm sorry, I'm just rambling. I haven't had coffee in like 3 days, so this is my first cup of coffee, and it's only half calf. I ran out of decaf, and so that's why I couldn't drink coffee for a few days, because I mix the regular and decaf because I still breastfeed, and so I can't do full caffeine. But I went a few days without any coffee, and now I'm like jittery a little bit. I've got energy. I'm ready. Okay, so I am so sorry. I might just cut some of that out because I'm just rambling. So now to put these signatures in, this isn't the way that you would do this for a full-sized journal. For a full-size journal, you would want to make yourself a little template to make sure the holes are all aligned. But since this is only one signature and it's miniature, it's small, I think I am gonna do it this way. I'm just gonna do the holes here first. So one in the center, one halfway between the center and the bottom, and another halfway between the center and the top. Make sure those go all the way through. Make sure my needle fits. Make sure that's nice and roomy so I can get it in there when I'm sewing. And then I will just take this and place it where I want it. I'm going to, mark where this is going. Make sure those are in the center of my spine. If you have never watched a junk journal tutorial and you're curious about how this process would go if you are using a cereal box for a full-size journal, I will link my video below so you can see how to turn a cereal box into a junk journal instead of a toilet paper roll. The process is similar, but there will be some differences just because this is miniature and a cereal box junk journal, of course, is full size. I forgot to mark top and bottom. I think I had this as the top. But when you're working with a full-size box or full-size materials, there will be some variation from how I'm doing this here, just to make it more precise. And sorry, I always forget when I'm zoomed in so you can see this smaller stuff. Let's see, is that lined up? Ah. I wish I had a smaller, slightly smaller needle for when I'm making these smaller projects. So I started from the inside in the middle hole and I went to the outside, then I jumped up to the top hole going back to the inside. Now I am going to jump over the middle hole and go in the bottom hole to go back to the outside. Sometimes it helps to do the paper first and then find the hole and go in through the spine's hole. Okay, so now I'm just pulling this through. I'm trying to align this so that I don't have to cut the paper. And now when you come back in, when you go back in through the middle hole to go back to the inside, you want to, so see how this starting thread is on this side of this center thread? You want to come up on this side of it with this thread. It's kind of tricky, even with a miniature one. There we go. So you want to come up on the opposite side. Ooh, is my string long enough? There we go. Okay, so now because this is small, I have some wiggle room. I think I am, before I tighten it up, I am gonna trim some of this off. Make sure it's where I want it. Pull it snug. And tie a knot. And then another knot. It's so small, I'm not going to worry about tying a bow. I'm just going to trim these down. And there you go. You have a little book charm. Well, it's not a charm yet. I will stick some kind of a jump ring through there. I just want to clean up these edges a bit more. So this is the kind of thing, like if you were doing a full-size journal, you would have been more precise with making, see, this is hard to do post-production or post like sewing. So that's the kind of thing, if you're making a full-size journal, we would have been a little more precise about measuring the signature, making sure it doesn't stick out at the bottom, you know, all that stuff. But because this is miniature, it's just one signature, I'm usually not as careful, I guess. I probably should have been, you know, just for the sake of the tutorial, but I mean, that's just the way it goes with junk journaling. So there you go. I'm just gonna keep playing with this spine to make sure it holds that shape as it dries. I probably could have made a bigger signature, but that's okay. I didn't want it to be too bulky. And then let me show you how I plan to attach this. Whoa, I've got all my little pieces falling out. Here, actually, let me get this all out of the way. These are my signatures to be sewn in for my autumn themed journal. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, this one middle signature, let me zoom out. This middle signature will end with the binding on the outside. There will be 2 pieces of this twine coming out, but right now I'm just going to worry about the one. And then I will take this through here. Well, not through here. I'll have some kind of jump ring, possibly. Or I could just do it straight through the eyelet, as I'm doing right now, and then tie a knot or a bow, and then this can hang. Oh, actually, what I should do is put a jump ring on here, and then, oh, this is just coming to me. You're seeing this play out live. What I should do is not attach it directly here, but I want this to be removable so that the recipient can take this off and use it how they want it. They can either put it in a pocket in this journal or take it off and attach it, you know, to a keychain or throw it in their bag. So what I'll do is put a jump ring on this, and then I'll find, I know I have a bag of jewelry, like old costume jewelry that I was just gonna like donate or give away, but I'll take off, you know how like necklaces have that little prong like clip piece, you know, to connect the two ends of a necklace. I'll take a piece of that with the prong end and I'll attach it here, and then I'll attach the prong end to this so that it'll just, you know, dangle here like as if it was a necklace. So that way when the recipient gets it, this will be attached, but then they'll be able to remove it. I hope that makes sense. I'll show you the end result whenever it's done, because I'm going to be working on these journals in the next couple weeks to get them done. So you're going to see all of this come to fruition. I hope this makes sense, but if not, just stick around if you're curious and you want to see the end result of all of these projects I've got going. But there you go. So this is a mini journal, a mini fall themed journal to go with my large fall themed journal. And stick around for more. I hope you liked this and enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if this was interesting or useful to you. And like I said, stick around because I've got some upcoming mass making videos to get all of these journals done for a craft fair and my Etsy shop. So stay tuned for all of that to see all this growth and expansion of my projects. Anyways, I'm just rambling. I've been rambling this whole video. All right, thanks for stopping by, and I will see you next time.